Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, where we will be discussing everything around employee referrals and how you can unlock the power of your employees' network. So today we will be talking about how you can leverage your employee referrals and also how you can boost your hiring efforts with the help of your coworkers. So my name is Josephine, and I'll be the moderator for today. I work on the marketing team here at Skeeled, and I'm very much excited to be hosting the session today. All right, so the webinar today is hosted by Skeeled. So for those of you who don't know us yet, Skeeled helps companies to hire the right people faster due to predictive talent acquisition software. Skeeled is basically a complete talent acquisition suite that will help HR professionals and companies out there to attract and hire top talent, but also it will allow recruiters to increase their productivity, but also facilitate the collaborative hiring and at the same time enhance the candidate experience. Now, our innovative technology has various features that automate the first steps of the recruitment process, this due to the utilization of artificial intelligence. So in case you are interested in knowing more about Skeeled or about our solution, feel free, of course, to reach out, and we're more than happy to get in touch with you. All right. So moving to our amazing speakers of today. First off, joining us as a guest speaker, we have Damian Keen. So welcome, Damian.
Thank you very much, Josephine.
So Damian is the marketing manager at Ambassify. Ambassify is a market-leading employee engagement and employer branding solution utilized by many large international companies such as KBC, Allianz, but also Toyota and KPMG. So welcome again, Damian, and it's a true pleasure to have you joining us on this session today.
Thank you.
And our second speaker is Nicolas Speeckaert. Welcome, Nicolas.
Hello, Josephine. Hello, Damian. Good to be among you today.
Hello, Nicolas.
Hello. So Nicolas might be a familiar face to many of you who have watched our previous webinars. And he's Skeeled's co-founder and managing partner. So thank you again, guys, for being with us here today. And I'm looking forward, to kick things off. Just before we start, I'd like to go through a few points. So we will be recording today's session, and the recording will also be sent over afterwards to all attendees and to the registrants. And it will also be available on demand after the session. Next to that, we'd like to hear from you. So if you have any questions, feel free to send them over through the Q&A chat, which is on the right of your screen. All the questions will be private, so don't be afraid to ask them at any time. We will collect all the questions throughout the session, and we'll address them at the very end during our Q&A session. And last, we'd like to encourage you to share today's webinar with your social networks. And you can do so by using the hashtag #SkeeledWebinar on social media. All right. So it's no secret that when it comes to recruiting, that referrals are one of the most efficient and effective sources of hire. And of course, according to a study done by LinkedIn, the number one way people discover a new job is actually through a referral from someone they know who works at the company. And besides, companies can also expand their talent pool by 10 times by recruiting through their employees network. So during the next 45 minutes, we'll look at some more additional benefits of employee referrals. We'll explore some of the best practices when it comes to building and managing a referral program, as well as discuss some of the top considerations organizations should be mindful of. All right, so let's move on to our first topic of today. Why should you look to your employees to refer future candidates? And I'd like to ask you, Nico, so why should companies invest in employee referrals nowadays, according to you?
Yes, well, thank you, Josephine. I mean, first of all, I mean, for me to start, I would like to say that this is a subject for me that is quite important because and I really appreciate talking about this for the simple fact is that this is, I mean, some of the tips and tricks that we will be sharing today are actually the ones that we have been using at Skeeled. Not all of them. There's always room for improvement, but I would like to say that a referral program at Skeeled has been hugely successful. I will also share some of our superstars of current employees and current people within the team that are referring a lot of people, and that has been working super well. So obviously one of the reasons why it's so important is we live in a very competitive market where finding top talent with the right skills can be a challenge. I mean, I hope it's not the first time you hear something about the war for talent. It's definitely there. Obviously, the situation, there's something that is being called COVID that is, in the way now. So, the market is a bit less competitive, but still, it's extremely important to hire the right people. And what we forget is our networks are stronger and faster than ever. So, tapping into the connection of your own people can open up, fresh opportunities, to secure talent you may not have access to traditional recruitment methods. So just for me to give you an example, on average, each employee has about 200 first-degree connections. It can be on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. And if your company has 300 employees, then you theoretically have access to more than 60,000 people. I mean, that's a lot of possible candidates. That's something that you should definitely consider. And this is what and why we're doing this webinar today. So, your employees are the company's best ambassadors. So if they are happy, if they have been there for a long time, they are true ambassadors and they will refer you qualitative people. So that's a bit my intro on why you should invest in employee referral.
All right. Thank you very much, Nicolas. Now over to you, Damian. What would you say are the benefits of hiring through employee referrals?
All right. I mean, to build on what Nicolas has said, I mean, it really comes down to you being able to utilize the most engaged people that you have in your organization to speak on your behalf. So whilst you can spend a lot of time working on your employer brand, which companies should do anyway, and really showcasing their culture and being able to showcase how they are a top employer in their particular field. Having your existing employees speak on your behalf and actually showcase that for you gives you a lot more credibility and a lot more authenticity to future prospects that are looking at your vacancies. So when you're really looking at then the real tangible benefits of it, you're looking at time to hire in terms that's cut way down. You're also looking at being able to, once you have candidates that come through a referral base, you've got people that are already familiar with your company culture. It's faster onboarding times. People can actually get up to speed a lot quicker within your company itself. And also when you're, as Nico mentioned as well, with the war for talent, I mean, it's never been harder to get really, really skilled people through the door. So when you can actually cut down that time, it helps you build for the short, medium, and long term for your own goals within the company as well. So, I mean, everybody has been affected by, lockdown across the world, COVID, everything like that's been happening. I don't think I need to preach any more about that. But I don't think there's been a more important time for companies really to focus on this now. So when you do look at how you hire people, there is a smarter way to do it by really reaching into your employees' networks. But there are some things that you need to be able to do before that to really make that work. But the benefits of it are absolutely huge in terms of actually being able to cut down that time to hire. You've a far less investment in terms of going via likes of agencies or the traditional job board. That can take months to hire somebody. You could cut this down to within mere weeks to have somebody new in the office. So for me, really, it is a massive benefit, and I mean, it's been coined the holy grail of recruiting, to be able to really get through those employee networks. So it's something I think all companies should really start focusing on now.
All right,
definitely. I cannot agree more on this. And one thing, some statistics that we can share as well. Career Builder has done a study that and 82% of employers rated employee referral above all other sources for generating the best return on investment. I mean, so if you don't have an employee referral program, then it's really something that you might consider. And just to jump onto the subject that you started, Damian. I mean, faster time to hire, of course, if you can. And what we know for a fact is that if you go through traditional sources, so you publish onto LinkedIn and job ads, making the candidates come back to your career website. Generally, it takes about 55 days from start to finish. But what we see is, and this is studies that have been done with employee referral, that can be cut to 29 days on average. So this is huge. I mean, war for talent, you need to find the right people, you need to hire them faster. And that's something that can really help you out. And what we have seen also is Glassdoor has published some numbers that say that generally candidates accept offers on a much larger scale when it's an employee referral program. So anywhere by from then 2.6 to 6.6%. But that's huge. I mean, if you hire a couple people per year, that can really make the difference. So, and I don't know if I still have a bit of time, Josephine. I know that you're watching out for the time, but
I know. Please go ahead.
But the cost per hire, what we know by fact is that generally if you go through traditional sources, then on average a hire would cost about 4K. But the employee referral cost is generally less than 2K. So that's a big difference. And I'm a true believer. When you do something, you should not go for one channel only and then only do that. So I think what we have to talk about today is really the recruitment mix. So having the right mix in order to attract enough candidates and then hire the right people. So there's not only the channels that you're using, but also the techniques and the tools that you will be using. But that's extremely important. So at the end, what we know is it's better source of hire. So nearly 1/3 of referral are hired. So when people are knocking on your door and say, hey, I have a great candidate for you, almost 1 in 3 people will be hired. So that's crazy, So it's really important. I mean, so many people have talked about passive candidates. How can we untap passive candidates, because this is where the pool of candidates are. Yes, but if you have done sourcing in the past, it's really tough. I mean, it's almost like it consumes a lot of energy. You almost need an entire strategy for this. But employee referral is something completely different, because you have the network, and it's actually people that know those guys that will help you making the first contact. So we all know that about 90% of people on LinkedIn say that they are at least somehow interested in new opportunities. So you have a huge pool of passive candidates, but you need to know how to untap them. So that's extremely important. And then not only to mention employee retention. We know that, for example, and this is a study that has been done across the world. So that's not always the most relevant for Europe specifically, but it still represents a lot. But in a study done by JobBite, we see that 46% of referred hire have been staying within the company for more than 1 year. Where if you compare that to people that have been hired through career site, this is only 33%, and hired through job boards, it's only 22%. We see, take these numbers with cautious, but still it means something.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Just to add on to that as well. I mean, if you're looking at this, that exact same JobBite report, when they looked at some of the highest performing employee referral programs around the world, they saw basically that the entire number, let's say that gross number of actual applicants that came through for different positions in different companies, roughly average about between 7 and 8%, which doesn't sound like a lot of people. But when you look that from that 7 to 8% of the entire applicant pool, 40% of them went on to be hired. So a very, very small effort has a massive, massive end result.
Impact, yeah. So indeed, so plenty of benefits. You've mentioned numerous of them, both of you. Now
there's so many more.
And there's still many more.
Especially,
indeed.
I mean, corporate culture. That's also something that we didn't even touch, but it's critical, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we see that when handled correctly, it creates a best case scenario for all kinds of stakeholders, not only for an employer, but also for employees and for the applicants, of course. Mm-hmm. Yet there are several studies that show that employee referrals are still underutilized and unrecognized. Hence why we also are doing this webinar today. Damian, do you also experience this, or what is your view on this?
Like when we look at, let's say, some of the companies that we work with that really try and build engagement and start building around their employer brand, as kind of one first step of the referral process we might get to later. Sometimes it can take a little bit of, without sounding too cliched, it kind of takes a little bit of a leap of faith from companies to be able to do it. Because you can spend a lot of time pushing yourself out there on social media across different, testimonials, things like that, really promoting your company, your culture, your people, how you do things, ethics, all that. And you can really, have a great story to tell. But having the ability to just kind of let that go and let your employees really speak on your behalf can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge for some companies. And it can come down to a managerial culture sometimes, that it takes a little bit more convincing with people to be able to let employees do that for you. Which is why, really with companies that are looking to kind of get into this, the part of experimentation is absolutely vital. You shouldn't you shouldn't be afraid to experiment a little bit with this and let your employees speak on your behalf and see what happens. It's not going to be, there's no point in sitting here and saying that this is going to be an absolute overnight success for every company. It takes time. You should look at this as a real investment in the medium to long term benefits for your company and goals for your company, that you really want to hire the best talent over a long period. So for some companies, they can experiment with it maybe once or twice, and then when they don't get the result, they just decide to shy away from it, which is probably the worst thing you can do. We're really having that ability to have faith in the people that represent you best. I mean, every single company has an amazing pool of internal ambassadors and advocates there that are just waiting to speak on their behalf. I mean, a lot of, like, when you think about it, like, every single employee talks about their place of work. They talk about the good points, the bad points, and they talk about, potential vacancies that are coming up. They might know someone that's for that. And if you don't really harness that, you're really, really missing out.
Agreed. No, it's I agree. I mean, it's way too often, that there's companies and they will, throw all their budget into external recruiting sites and, generating more interviews. But the thing is, at the end, does that work in the best and most effective manner? I agree with you, Damian. I mean, it's not an overnight success. It's something that takes time. And, that's also why we wanted to do this webinar, is, to give you the tips and tricks in order to have something out of, this webinar and really say, I will try to do my experimentation and get this employee referral started in my organization. And that, very soon you'll see, the first results, and then you will build on that strategy and get more and more. But for my feeling is, I really think that companies have an outdated a bit understanding of employee referral process, and they feel like it creates a lot of paperwork and extra effort in the HR department, which is really not longer the case. It does take a bit of effort at the beginning, but in writing out the process, making sure that the tools are in place. But after that, it's just reminding the people that it exists. They should refer your company, give the reasons, and then get you to interview great candidates.
All right.
Welcome.
Yeah. So thank you both. So I hear it's really time, if you haven't done so, to experiment, and it can have a great return on investment. All right. So now, before we move into how to design or set up an employee referral program, I'd like to ask you, Nico, what is an employee referral program exactly, and how does it work?
It's a very good question. So, an employee referral program consists of your current employee making a recommendation of potential candidates for the company's open position. Clear and simple. So, a referral program, is structured and organized way of requesting and receiving employee referral. That's really something that needs to be done. So you have people, and those people are referring you potential candidates for the position that you're hiring for, and that's what it is all about.
All right. So basically, it's a great program or effective recruiting tool, as we've seen. Now, Damian, what would you say are the best steps to take when companies are starting with such a program? Where do you start?
I mean, like it really does come down to, first of all, knowing who your internal advocates and who your internal ambassadors are. And it's really looking at how, first of all, it's about really, first of all, kind of checking the pulse on what your company culture is actually like.
Yes.
So when you really want to start utilizing your employee networks, you need to be, first of all, pretty sure that your employees are engaged enough with the job that they're doing and the initiatives that you have within your company, that they're well informed, that there's a lot of very, very clear communication channels, that they are, again, I think it really does. I think you can't really underestimate comms. I mean, you cannot underestimate the power of keeping your employees informed and keeping them engaged and keeping them feeling like they're a part of something more. So for them to be able to then speak on your behalf and get referrals for your company and for your vacancies, you kind of really do need to help them feel motivated to be able to do that. And it all starts really with the engagement side of things, really. That's core at the very, very beginning. Because realistically speaking, if you just start asking the question, okay, we want you to start sharing our open vacancies on your social media, the response rate is going to be pretty low, because the first question that you'll always ask if you're asked to do something is, okay, why am I doing that? It's a normal kind of a human response. Whereas if you can understand that there's a bigger picture to this, and that you're actually doing something that is in the greater good of the company, that you're actually really, as an individual employee, making a very, very big contribution to the company outside of what you do anyway, that can be very, very big incentive. So it does begin with building up very, very solid engagement with your employees, keeping them well informed, making sure that communications with them are transparent, that you allow for feedback, that you give them the opportunity to also help you build the referral program. That you could have some people there that have some very, very good ideas as well. So if you can also give them a platform where you can you can ask some questions, they can give feedback, and you can build something together, that's a huge incentive as well. So I think really keeping your employees core to the entire build of this at the very, very beginning is absolutely detrimentally important.
All right. Thank you, Damian. Nicolas, do you agree, or are there any elements that you think that companies should consider when building an employee referral program?
Yes, so no, definitely agree with you, Damian. The foundation of a successful referral program is, great company culture. I mean, without your employees' support, referral program will crumble and will not work. So that's the bottom line. I mean, it's super important. You need to have people that fit good, fit well in the organization, and feel that they want to contribute to the organization. That's the most important. And then you have to set for yourself some goals. So what are you hoping to accomplish? So that's extremely important. So you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. First of all, see, have you tried a referral program in the past? Has it been working? And if not, why? That's the first thing. So what are the immediate needs you hope to fulfill through this employee referral program, and what are the long-term needs? If you have any resource constraints, that's quite important. I mean, it does play a role, and who will be working on this program? So that's super important. Do you have executive buy-in? You are an HR manager. Does your head of HR and does your CEO actually support you into this? Because at the end they will also be strong contributors. So that's super important. And how will you roll out the program? Do you have a way to boost the employee involvement? And then for me, lastly, that's something that is also hyper important is how will you measure the success, and what will be your timeline? If you have that, you're heading to success.
Yeah.
So now,
I definitely agree with you there, Nico. I think really having a very, very clear strategy on how you want to measure this. What is your benchmark for success? Is it hiring somebody, one person through an employee referral program this year? Is it hiring specific people for a different department? Having that down, I think, is very, very important as well. And also, like touch on what you said, buy-in, because if you can really get the buy-in of the people that are referring on your behalf, and you can also get the buy-in of people that are in the upper management, you really are onto a winner. But it does take time to set that up. So again, and also I think as well, if you come into it with mindset of that you're going to treat it at the very, very beginning, treat it as an experiment at the beginning. So experiment with the types of content that you are sharing with your employees in terms of those job vacancies. Have a little fun with it. Play around with imagery, see what people really engage with and really want to share. Because if you can actually play around with that, I think you can really get a winning formula a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I agree. But what is super important is doing experiments, yes, because it's we are in a world where lean management, lean strategies are always paying off. So doing small experiments and then execute on them. However, it does need for you to define a process, and that's super important. I mean, you cannot go on and say, hey, I'm doing only small experiments and not having like a clear plan. So first, at which stage of the recruitment process you want employee referral to appear? That's super important. And define whether employee referral will be for each position or not. I mean, this is the type of question that you have to ask yourself, and especially for specific positions that are harder to fill. Yes, for sure, use it. I mean, we use it, no surprise, for our engineering team. The world knows that it's not that easy to find engineers, right? But for us, the one source of attracting top talents is in our engineering team. So that's super important. So, but also, how will employees make a referral? So think about the process, because otherwise it's going to be super disorganized and people will be losing faith very easily. To whom will referral be made? That's super important. How will employees know what jobs are open? A simple thing, but do you think that they will always go on your website and think, hey, the company has a job and we need to refer people? No, you have to have some kind of communication. So that's super important. But also, how will employees know if the referral is hired? It might be a close friend, and fine. Obviously the person will tell you, hey, I've been hired by the company, and will let you know across the recruitment process. But if it's a connection of your connection that and you have met, that it's a good person that could come and work in your organization, but he might not inform you. So those are the small things, but it actually decreases the amount of potential frustration that will help you win this war for talent and make you successful in this referral program. And above everything else, like everything, keep your process simple. If you have too many rules, at the end, it will discourage the people.
All right. Thank you to the both of you. So many aspects and and points to consider when designing and setting up your own employee referral program. Now, what would you say, Damian, are the latest trends when it comes to employee referral programs?
Mm-hmm. When it comes down to real trends, when you look at see like how some of the top companies are really doing this, it comes down to one, again, okay, the engagement side of things. Incentives is a word that really should be mentioned there, because that's an important part. Mm-hmm. Gamification is another, making it a challenge amongst different departments, different employees. It can actually make it quite fun for employees to see how they go up and down on a leaderboard, for example, or what type of rewards they can get for referring new employees into the company. So when you look at, let's say, for example, the traditional way of looking at it would have been, if one employee refers another, it would usually be a financial incentive somewhere. But realistically speaking, when you look across how people hire now, how companies hire now, financial incentives really aren't high on the list for a lot of new candidates. It's really more about the culture. It's more about what they can gain from in terms of learning from people within the organization, how it benefits them personally. There's more of a personal aspect to this rather than financial these days. And that also kind of boils down to the referral programs, because it's more about how you can, okay, make it fun is one part, but what is really in it for you, I guess, will be a kind of a selfish way of saying it. So in terms of that, I mean, when you look at how companies are offering these incentives these days, you're looking at the likes of, for example, sending, let's say if one person is responsible for hiring 2 or 3 people within a year, they came in through their referral link, they're responsible for going into different departments, and they've been there successfully for 6 months. You can see companies sending these employees like all expenses paid trips to events, conferences, things that really benefit them, things that they can get, they can educate themselves with. Training courses is another. If there's something that you really, really want to upskill in, that you just haven't had time for, or that you really want to put some time aside to do it, companies are also offering these incentives where you can say, okay, for the next 2 months, well, okay, you're still carrying out a lot of the tasks that you're doing. We're also going to pay for you to be able to do this, or pay part of it for you to be able to upskill. So there's a lot of benefits for employees now that are actually willing to really refer on their company's behalf. So it's not just about financials anymore. I think that if you're really looking at that and saying, okay, we're just going to use this as a cost base, and basically for every new hire we get is just going to be another paycheck that we need to give out, or another check that we need to give out, and you're looking at it the wrong way. You need to really look at it from the point of view of what benefits your employees. And a lot of it does come down to the gamification part, which makes it quite fun in terms of rewarding people, but how you reward them as well.
All right. Yeah. So really think out of the box, and it's not always about money.
Yeah.
Now, there's a common concern or a question when it also comes to employee referral programs, which is mainly about diversity. So do employee referral programs reduce diversity? But that's a question or concern that many companies have. Because they think that, well, employees, when they refer candidates, they're usually like them, which might end up in creating like a homogeneous candidate pool, and hence hurt the diversity of the workforce within the company. Nico, what is your opinion on this point?
Yeah, for sure. I will definitely share. But just to jump onto Damian's last point, what you should also think about, creative ways to make it work. And we also talk about what we call outside referral. This is something that people say, oh, he's crazy about this, but you can actually widen your referral program and reach out to non-employees within your program. So there was a study done by Ambassify that the survey actually revealed that the team who expanded the employee referral program to corporate, alumni, retires, vendors, contractors, spouses, but hey, and strategic partners. So even customer got 28% more hires than referral with the normal source. So it's really crazy because we logically think about, only employees, but again, there's your company is important. People know about it. People talk about it, and if you have an employee that left the company because he wanted to pursue new challenges, surely this person stays a great ambassador for your brand. And why cutting him out of this process? So it's not something that is great. So you really should think about opening up. Maybe same thing with the spouses. I mean, at the end, a lot of people go back at night and say, talk about the company, and then the spouses are really aware of what's going on, but they might actually know about a good fit for your organization. So really keep this in mind. So diversity. That's what.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you for adding that point, Nico. It's a good point.
Because we didn't mention it, and I thought it was important. So regarding diversity, I mean, certainly it's a possibility, no doubt. So especially if you don't provide any guidance to your employees when asking for referrals, so be cautious with this for sure. However, if you ask your employees to look beyond their immediate circle, so not their super close friend that they go play golf every weekend with, or that they go dinner every Friday, but going beyond this, this generally works well. So professional, academic, and other type of communities, it will be more likely that you tap into a network that is more accurate, a more accurate representation of the world around them, just not exactly the same as your current employees. So that's important. There's something that was published by Dr. John Sullivan. So he's the head of human management program at San Francisco State University, and an expert in employee referral program. And he said that despite the old myth that referral have a negative diversity impact, referral were the first as the number one most productive source for diversity hire. So well ahead, major job boards, company affinity groups, and the diversity career fair. So keep this in mind. It's not because you have close friends that automatically they are exactly the same. So that's super important.
All
Did
right.
I answer your question, Josephine?
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you, Nico. Perfect. All right. So I think it's time to move on to our next topic. Now we see that you've mentioned that these programs can have great value for companies. But the most important part is, of course, to get your employees on board and get them participating in your program. However, motivating your employees to take part in such a program is seen as one of the biggest pain points that many HR professionals face when it comes to dealing with employee referral programs. Damian, how can you make sure that employees refer, or how can you increase referral engagement from your coworkers?
That's a very good question. I think really it does kind of stem down to, again, what Nico touched on earlier as well, as in your company culture. So it comes down to having a lot of transparency in the company. So knowing that, first of all, when it comes to, let's say, for example, employee referrals, you really want your employees to know why you're doing it. So you want them involved from the very, very beginning in how you build that program, why you're building it, and then how you're going to really roll it out. So it's about really having that transparency and that direct communication at the very, very beginning, having a culture where you accept feedback from your employees to these types of programs. So there's a lot of companies that can really kind of falter at that first hurdle, that really they do try quite hard to push a program, but maybe their employees just aren't ready for it. And they really need to work on, first of all, engaging and being more transparent and more communicative with their employees. So building that up at the very, very beginning is absolutely crucial. You need to have them trust you, first of all, before they'll really speak on or act on your behalf. So if they don't really know what's going on with other company initiatives, or they're not entirely too sure what's happening with different departments, or they're completely isolated, or some people feel isolated from different groups, they're not really going to bother, and they're not really going to feel that engaged or feel that motivated to speak on your behalf, which is really what you're asking them to do. So I think really having that ability to have a good pool of, like, you're never going to get 100% people involved in these programs. So some people that just don't want to, they just don't feel the need. They're just happy enough to do their work, and that's okay. But you do also need to realize that there is a pool of people there that work around you that are more than willing to speak on your behalf, that are super positive about your company, that absolutely love what you do, love the culture in the building, like being around their colleagues, and really want to contribute more outside of what they do themselves. So I think having that base where you encourage people to really kind of show that kind of entrepreneurship, maybe, is probably the best way to do it. That they will be willing to actually go out there and share content, first of all, on your behalf about your company's successes, about the different initiatives that you run through the year that benefit the employees, that speak positively about your culture. If you're willing to have a base of people that really are willing to share that at the beginning and really talk positively about you, it's just a very, very natural step to be able to then ask and say, hey, look, we really want to hire some really high quality candidates for these positions that we've got. You speak so positively about us already. Would you mind being able to share this out there as well with your own networks and see what comes of it? So I think it really does stem from having that positive attitude and that positive engagement with your employees, first of all, and then just make that natural leap.
All right. So basically, really having a solid base is important to start. Nico, would you say that there are any other elements that are to consider and to increase the engagement of your employees?
Yes. So yeah, Damian, definitely I agree with you. I mean, my points will be around the corporate culture, employee engagement is super important. The power of outreach. So I can talk a bit about it, but corporate culture and employee engagement. I mean, this is. It sounds logical, but it's important to mention. But first of all, people and your employees need to feel good about referring their friends, right? So that's bottom line. So for this to work, that's something that is super important. So a corporate culture that engage employees in doing so and encourage performance and participation is the key. So that's super important. What else can I say? So it's like sales. I mean, sales can be applied in many ways, but the power of outreach. So in sales, you all know that a warm introduction is the key of starting a conversation. It's the same in recruitment. So if you have someone that introduces you, and then the possibility of you getting a phone conversation with that person will be massively higher. So just think about it and think about your employees as potential good ways of getting there and outreaching to potential talents. So that would be super important, but obviously offer a mix between monetary and non-monetary incentives. That's also important. So money is not always what drives the people, but they also feel that if they feel good within the company, then automatically what will happen is they would want more of their connections to actually join this organization and be part of it. So you can actually increase the money to crazy amount of to crazy amounts. At the end, it doesn't gonna give you more results. So think about it. What else?
I think you've mentioned already quite some great amount of points.
I think we still have time for one more.
Yes.
If I make it quick. I think as well. I think that one of the biggest things that you can do to really increase the amount of referrals that you're getting and the number of employees that are willing to participate is really sharing those early successes.
Yeah. Also,
so for example, when you're at work, everybody talks around the coffee machine, everybody talks around the water cooler, they're talking about different things that are going on in the office. You've got somebody new that's joined the company. It's a tremendous incentive for people when you can realize that, okay, Mary, who works in accounts, was responsible for us hiring our new software developer. And if you can spread that message out throughout the company and make people realize that you can have a far greater impact within the company that you're in than you realize, I think people are going to be a lot more motivated to just take that extra step and go, hey, you know something, I'd like people to be able to talk about me like that as well. You know, if you boil it down to really basic intrinsic human behavior and emotions, it can change a lot. So it can have, if people feel like they can have a lot bigger impact in the organization that they're in, and it will cause people to talk more positively about them, their departments, about the company itself. It just raises morale and it raises motivation. So I think really allowing people to know that, yeah, we've made some new hires this year thanks to you, is a massive, massive step. And I think really companies shouldn't hide behind that either.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. And, you know, just to share some in-house successes and maybe, things that we should have even done better is, we have one person within the organization who tends to be very, very good at employee referral, and it's our head of marketing. So, Brice, he has referred us quite some people in the recent month, and I have to agree that we have to push that towards everyone, letting them know that he's been very successful, and that can actually work for everyone. I mean, we also have people in Porto that have been very good at attracting top engineers for us. So I really agree. Make it visible to the rest of the organization and share the successes. So good example. But
Right, very
good comment.
Very important. All right, thank you very much, guys. All right, so we've arrived at our final topic of today, which is about the technology and the tools needed to make your employee referral program succeed and to streamline the whole procedure. And Damian, this question is maybe for you. What would you say are the tools and tech, to consider or to evaluate to run such a successful program in the long term?
Yeah, I think it kind of boils down to kind of two things. It boils down to software that enables you to, one, communicate with your employees directly, transparently, and allows you to share content with them, such as vacancies, but also other initiatives that are going on within the company. And that actually makes everything a lot more transparent for them. So they feel a lot more involved and a lot more engaged with what the company is doing as is. Also, that will allow them to easily share those vacancies for you on their own employee networks. So when you're looking at those types of tools, there's a lot of them out there, us included. But it's something that really makes it easy for employees to share those vacancies on your behalf. And that also leads me on then to the second part, which is basically like a really, really good ATS or a really, really good system that allows you to start bringing candidates in. So when you look at it as a whole, you want your employees, first of all, to be able to refer you easily. You also then want to be able to track this, and you want to be able to have the candidate have the best experience on their way in. So while your messaging and your actions are a lot of the time at the very, very beginning, more of an outward reach into your employees' social networks and into their own network, to be able to get to referrals back, it's just as important as well as having the candidate that's inbound having a very, very positive experience from the very, very beginning. So I think those are two things really that are absolutely crucial. So it's really how the prospective candidate views you in terms of the job vacancy that they see coming from that existing employee, and having a very, very positive impact at the very, very beginning. Having an easy process then to just apply for the job, but then also having a very, very good impact when they actually have their application received and how they're handled after that. So I think those are 2 points that I think are very, very crucial for companies looking to roll this out.
All right, thank you, Damian. Now you've mentioned already that an ATS can be a very important tool for this. And Nico, at Skeeled, we also have an employee referral functionality within our software. Could you please explain a bit more on how this works?
Yes. So obviously, when we started Skeeled, we always had the ambition to offer really all the best practices of recruitment in one simple to use software. It's really hard to have so many different tools that at the end, you're losing yourself in the process. So, and different platforms and everything. So yes, indeed, Skeeled has built an employee referral portal that allows you to generate codes for your employees, and then for those employees to actually use those codes within their network, so you can actually track the employee referral and know exactly from where the candidate is coming from and whom has been applying this referral. So you have those code associated to the person, and it allows you many things. It allows you to prioritize, because if you have people that are working, helping your HR department, surely all these efforts needs to be rewarded. And the fact is that when you have employee referral, you have to be super fast at replying to those guys, engaging with them, getting them feedback on their application, doing this first interview, and then letting the person know. So this is also something that is important, is allowing you to let your colleagues know where the person is standing within the process. So that's important. And if you value employee referral so much, you have to make sure that the employee referral platform allows you to integrate with your current ATS. So generally, at Skeeled, we can manage this in an efficient way, but we would like more and more customers to engage with those type of functionalities, because it's really like a killer strategy. As I said at the beginning, the recruitment mix, that's what should be in the mind of everyone. It's not only job board, it's not only sourcing, it's not only referral, it's applying the right mix. It's like marketing. I mean, if you only publish everything on Facebook, surely you're gonna get some results, but they are gonna be limited. But no, it's about content, it's about Facebook, it's about ads, it's about webinars, it's about a lot of things, and this is what works well. Marketing is fundamentally not much more different from hiring. At the end, obviously, the outcome is different, but still, the same rules apply. And this is really something that recruiters need to understand. And above everything else, I mean, please, mobile first. I mean, this is super important. Please stop with any type of unresponsive websites that do not allow you to. That should be super important. Mobile first is the key, because people are on the bus, people are moving along the way, and they should be able to just click on the code and then boom, automatically apply.
All right. Thank you very much, Nicolas. And thank you also, Damian, for sharing, both of you, so many interesting thoughts and insights with us. We've covered quite some ground, and we're actually already running quite out of time.
Crazy.
So yeah, time flies.
It almost feels like we started like 10 minutes ago, and we have still so much more to share. But I think it's also something I think Damian and myself, we are still reachable. Direct messages, emails. If you want and you feel that you're missing out on something and we can help you out, I mean, don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions or help you out on this.
Yeah, most definitely.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So maybe before we head over to the Q&A, actually, we have some questions already coming in, but I'd like to emphasize one more time, if you have any questions or would like to have some further information on certain aspects, please do send your questions to the Q&A chat on the right, and we will answer them shortly. So before we head over, Damian, shortly, what would you say is the key takeaway from this session?
I think really, for me, if you aren't already investing, or if you haven't already started planning an employee referral program, then you're already very, very far behind. So you need to start thinking about how, first of all, having a look at your company culture, having a look at how engaged your employees are with all of the initiatives that are running in your company at the moment, and how willing do you think they really are to actually speak on your behalf. And if you can find some faults there already, and you can say, okay, there's some improvements that we need to make there for us to be able to make that jump and actually start a referral program, then that's already a very, very good start. If you're already set and have a very, very good company culture, there's a lot of people around you that are very, very happy. There's a lot of people that talk very, very positively about you to their network already, then it will be foolish not to start. and at least start experimenting with, like, okay, Nicolas showed some of the examples with links, at least just start experimenting with an employee referral program and start seeing the higher quality candidates coming through. And again, it's not going to be an overnight success, but it will be something that will build over time into a really, really well-oiled machine where you can really have a lot of really good, high-quality candidates coming in for your vacancies. And it will reduce your time to hire, and it will reduce your spend. So when you look at it as a medium to long-term plan and actually put it into practice now and start experimenting now, you will reap the benefits of it.
All right. Thank you so much. Great. So that leads us to the Q&A session. Thank you so much, both of you. We have a few minutes left. Like Nico mentioned, if we don't cover all of your questions, we've got quite some interesting one coming in. Please do reach out to us. We're more than happy to help afterwards as well. All right, so looking at the questions that we received, I see one here coming in. I see much more benefits of an employee referral program for the internal employee engagement than actually speeding up your hire process. Can you talk about some benefits for the recruiters too? Maybe Nico, for you, could you give an answer to this question?
Sure. Yeah, it's true. I mean, we talked a lot about employees, people, but not really the recruiters themselves. But it's a super good question. So first, the referral candidates. Simple, but they are pre-screened. You for sure the person that will refer an employee will definitely do a short pre-screening, making sure that this person fits. One example that I emphasized on is the fact that referral candidates won't leave as quickly. So you as a recruiter, the bottom line is to make sure that not only you hire, but you retain the candidate as long as possible. So that's super important. A third point I would say is the fact that you're really getting to candidates from an untapped network that you might not have reached, and definitely increasing the volume of your applicants. So that's for recruiters super important, because there is a really good part of the job which is making sure that you get sufficient amount of applicants to actually benchmark them around, and making sure that you take the right decision according to the pool of talent that you had. Lastly, that's a bit. I mean, I don't have proof on this, but I have the feeling that when someone has been referred, he will work even harder, because he will not want to disappoint the person that has referred him. So for a recruiter, this is super high criteria to think about. You really see, obviously, not any financial benefits, but at the end, bottom line, it really impacts your work. So that would be my 2 cents on this.
All right. Thank you so much. So we have plenty of questions coming in. Maybe one for you. This is also an interesting one, Damian. Are employee referrals a viable way for small businesses to recruit?
Definitely. I mean, the process is the exact same. I mean, like whether you're looking at like an international organization that has hundreds of thousands of employees worldwide, or even a smaller company.
Yes.
We are not a massive team at Ambassify ourselves yet, but we already have some people that we've hired through our own recruitment processes, or our internal employee referral program. So that's our own success for that. I mean, we've had a software engineer that came in through recently as well. So smaller companies can definitely benefit from it, because the process is really the same. It's about really putting your best foot forward as a company. It's about being able to, you can keep, as long as you keep the process very, very simple, and that you do give preference to those people that are coming in through the referral programs, because you do want to be able to test it and see if you really are getting higher quality candidates. So I do think that if you do give it some focus on your next recruitment campaign, that you will see some benefit from it. It may not result in an immediate hire straight away, but it doesn't mean that you won't have higher quality candidates coming through. So I think as long as you keep the process the same in terms of utilizing your employees to be able to speak on your behalf and knowing that they're happy to do so, then yeah, I think it's a very, very easy thing for an SMB to roll out. I mean, I wouldn't see why not.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank
I really agree with you. If you let me comment, Josephine, I will definitely jump on.
Yes, we're running out of time. Go, please.
No, definitely jump onto this one.
Please
But
do.
for me, it's super important because we always hear the fact that, hey, I'm a small organization, so I don't need this, I don't need that. In the world has changed. First of all, if you're a company with some goals, ambitions, and you want to grow, it doesn't prevent you to actually be on top of your game, and this counts for everything. So don't allow big companies to have unfair advantage above you because you're small. No. That doesn't work like this. I think the beauty of the world that we live in is the fact that we live, and especially thinking about tools, in a B2B software era, and the prices are adaptive to the size of the companies or the number of people that use the tool. So at the end, you can benefit from the same kind of tools and still get the same strategies, because don't let the big organization be on you. At the end, the game is we live in a international world, and you have all your chances. But if you look to grow, use the same techniques, and don't say that because you're a small company you don't need this. This is, for me, the wrong mindset.
All right. So definitely something for all kinds of industries and all types of businesses.
Definitely.
All right. So thank you very much, guys. Unfortunately, we are out of time. We still have some questions that are unanswered. So please do reach out to us if you want to know more. Yes, and without that said, I'd like to thank both of you, Damian and Nicolas, again for joining us, for taking the time to speak to us, and for sharing your thoughts. It has been a real pleasure. And also thank you, everybody that tuned in today. I hope that you enjoyed and that today's insights will help you to kickstart or to revamp your own employee referral strategy and program. So if you have any questions, or if you'd like to have some more information, please do reach out. We're here to help. And with that said, thanks again. And I'd hope to see you again in one of our next webinars.